After completing this lesson, you'll be able to edit the appearance of the design materials, review the scene and environment settings, review the in-canvas render options, apply Fusion 360 cloud rendering to create a photorealistic rendering, and create and save renders of your design. To begin rendering the headphone design in Fusion 360, first of all you're going to need to open a file in the dataset called headphones render. When you've got this file open, we're going to need to lay the headphones flat. To do that, we need to go to the browser and with the Shift key selected on the keyboard, select both ear assemblies, select Frame 1 and Cushion 1, then right-click and select Move. On the View cube, click Back so that we've got a back view, and then zoom out a bit. Now rotate and enter 98 degrees, and then using the arrow, drag the headphones up towards the origin. And when you get near, enter 125mm and press Return. Click Home on the View cube, and now we can see that the headphones are laying flat on the surface. Now click Save to save the file. And then click Model, Render to enter the render environment. When we enter the render environment, you'll note that at the bottom, on the left, there's a rendering gallery with 4 views. These are the 4 named views: top, front, right, and home. And Fusion automatically generates these renders whenever you bring a model into the rendering environment for the first time. In the rendering environment, we can select appearances for our physical materials from the Appearance library. There are a range of different materials that we can choose from, and if we like a specific material, we can add it to favourites and we can use it again later. At the top here, we can see all the materials that I'm currently using in the headphone design. If we click Setup, then click Scene Settings, we can make all sorts of changes to the scene settings. For example, we can change the background to a specific colour or an environment. So if we click Colour, we can choose any colour we wish and then apply it. Or, if we go to the Environment library, we can select a background image, or we can attach our own. So if I do that, and then select Settings, we can see that my environment background image has been applied. But I'm going to set it back to solid white for now. I've also got some settings here to turn reflections on or off, or flatten the ground, and if I check the boxes, I can apply those. Additionally, I can change the focal length of the camera and the exposure if I want. I can also change the depth of field and the aspect ratio. There are 2 other features in the rendering environment that we can use, although we're not going to today. The first is Decal, and that allows you to apply an image to the form. And the second is Texture Map Controls, which allows you to set the orientation of a particular material for rendering. And this is quite useful for materials such as wood, if you want the grain going in a specific direction, for example. Fusion also has an in-canvas renderer, which is really useful. Now the in-canvas renderer has 3 different settings. That's quick, normal, and advanced. And I personally use the in-canvas renderer to get a good idea of the kind of finish that I want to achieve with my final renders. So I'm just going to set that back to quick, and then I'm going to move on to setting up my final cloud render. To produce cloud renders in Fusion is really easy. All we need to do is click Render. Now you'll note that Fusion has a number of presets for web, mobile, print, and video. If you want a good quality print render, then you want to click Print, and I always select the highest render quality here, and select Cloud Render, and make sure it's a final render. When you're ready and you're happy, then just click Render to set the render off. Now your computer won't need to do anything because Fusion will render this in the cloud, and when it's finished, you'll note that in the bottom left-hand corner of the render gallery, you'll see your image appear. Fusion estimates that this render will be complete in about an hour, so that means I can get on with other things and come back to the render environment later when it's complete. So my render's complete. Now what I need to do is just double-click on the render image in the rendering gallery. This opens up an image of my render, and if I click on the magnifying glass, I can just check the quality. So I can see that this is a high quality image. This is the image that I want. And if I click on this download icon, a window opens up where I can choose to save my file locally. All I need to do is choose a location for it, give it a name, and then place it in that location. Then click Save. And that completes the rendering lesson.